Amy, Helen, you guys good? We all good? Good. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 27th meeting of the North Andover School Committee. First order of business is to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, so please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, everyone. If people have their cell phones, will you please put them on silent for the meeting? Thank you. First order of business is, next order of business is public comment. Anyone from the audience want to address the committee? If not, there's time at the end of the meeting. We have public comment at the beginning and the end of the meeting. Okay, seeing none. Nothing on the recognition tonight, Dr. Gilligan?
No, there is not tonight.
Okay, let's go right to the consent agenda then. First order of business is accept the donation from the Merrimack Valley Striders, and I see, I assume that's why you're here, Tom? I apologize. Come on up, Tom. Join us, please. Looks like we're going to accept a donation from you folks today. Want to maybe give a little bit about it?
Thank you, Dave. Thank you all for allowing me a moment to chat with you. If I could take just a moment or two, I'd like to give you a little idea about what our organization is all about. I know, Greg, you've heard this story before, but...
It's a good one.
So the Merrimack Valley Striders was founded in 1979 with the mission to encourage and enhance running at all levels. Every member of MVS is respected as an athlete, whether young or old. I'm now on the other end. Capable of winning races or further back in the pack, which is where I now am. A seasoned marathoner, yes, I have a lot of seasoning, or a member who is simply seeking to improve his or her health. Though we were founded in the Merrimack Valley of Massachusetts, north of Boston, south of New Hampshire, we've grown and our reach touches runners as far away as Florida and California. We've got them scattered all over the place. Our mission statement is to encourage and enhance running at all levels, but we are really much more than simply a running club. We strongly feel an obligation to be a good partner with the communities we serve. To do that, we've established several initiatives, including coaching programs for adults, and we have a really terrific youth program in the summer. One for which we are especially proud is our scholarship program, and I'm pleased to tell you that again this year we're going to be awarding 10 $2,000 scholarships to area seniors. Established in 1998, we've awarded well over $100,000 in scholarships. Last year, North Andover's Trevor Nasser was a recipient. And I will tell you that every year, North Andover, it's our mandate that North Andover will always receive at least one of those scholarships. And with the quality of runners that are coming out of North Andover, it makes it a bit of a tough decision each year. In 2019, we began a new grant program designed to help support communities who support running. Our first grant was to North Andover to help support and maintain that amazing track facility that we have here. Our agreement is to grant $10,000 each year for 5 years, a $50,000 commitment. Our aspiration is to renew the agreement, making it a $100,000 program. Our capability to reach the full 10-year goal is predicated, of course, on the MVS remaining financially capable. As we rely heavily on Feast or Five Thanksgiving Day race, we'd like to encourage all of you, your friends, your family, everybody you know, to register each year. It's good for all of us. So with that said, it's certainly my pleasure to present our second installment of $10,000 to North Andover. And we thank you for doing such a great job with our kids and feeding those great fast runners that'll someday be running with us. Would somebody like to take the check?
Tom, well, first. Yeah, Tom, I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much. It means a lot. As you know, as someone who's taught in our school system, was on the board of selectmen, you know how tight our budgets can be, and literally every penny matters. So this $10,000 is huge to us. So we really appreciate it. I don't know if anyone else wants to say anything.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Very generous.
And thanks for all the small details you always work out with Dr. Mealy on the different nights and the different things. It's a lot of work behind it. And,
He's terrific. We've worked well with him, and he's been terrific. So we're delighted to continue to have a good, strong relationship with the town of North Andover.
I would accept a motion now, please.
I'll move that that the committee accept the $10,000 donation from the Merrimack Valley Striders.
Second?
Motion by Ms. Lynch, second by Ms. Mabley. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, that vote is 4-0. Thank you very much, Tom.
Great.
Really
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much.
Go, do you have any public service announcements, like any times and places if somebody wanted to start, next week, where they would show up to try?
Yeah,
Or website you can
Where's Jim?
refer us to?
One of the
Jim.
best things to do is to go on our website, which is merrimackvalleystriders.com.
Okay.
We have a wonderful coaching program for adults, the strength training, and one of the nice things is that we have over 450 members of the club, so there's somebody at every level. One of the things that sometimes people say is, oh, I couldn't join your club because you're all professional. And we have everything from walkers to people who qualify for Boston every year. So it's a wonderful group.
Look at the website for times and dates.
Say it again?
Look at the website for times and dates.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep, indeed.
thanks.
Thanks again. Thanks for your
Thank
time.
you. Thank you, Tom. Who might have been a teacher of mine back in the day, by the way. Just might have been a teacher. Thank you. Next order of business under consent agenda is approval of minutes. Could I have a motion to accept the minutes as printed in the packet?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the, remember the date?
February 6th.
February 6th meeting as presented in the packet.
Motion made by Ms. Mabley, second by Ms. Lynch. Any discussion, edits?
One thing, Ms. Bacuzzi, were you here last meeting? I can't remember if you were. I was getting it mixed up with another meeting, so,
Yes.
okay, that's the one thing I wanted to check, I couldn't remember.
Do you approve you were here?
I know,
Approve? Do you have a time card? We take her word for it?
I totally do, that's why I asked her.
We'll check the tapes and if not, we'll bring it back next time.
No, I'm just trying to be official, that's all.
Any other comments, edits? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's another 4-0 vote. Okay. Favorite part of the meeting, our student report. Ammon and Micah? Come on up. How you guys doing? Doing well, you? Good, thank you. Good, thank you. What's new?
All right, so as you can see, Jack is not here today. Jack is currently in Spain with the Spanish exchange, so that they left at the very beginning of February break, and they should be coming back soon. That is, a lot of trips are happening around this time, and that's probably one of the biggest ones of the year for the high school. The AP Spanish class does go to Spain for 2 weeks. In addition, the Junior American Thought class, which is a history English class interdisciplinary course, is going to Washington, D.C. from Sunday to Tuesday. I'm in that class, so I'll be there. And we're just going to visit a lot of the memorials and such that align with our curriculum. In addition, Mr. North Andover is coming up March 13th, so be on the lookout for more information about that. Jack is participating, so
Are you guys handicapping the field at all? What are the odds on Jack coming through? A lot of pressure.
You're gonna have to buy a ticket and see.
yeah.
Nice.
He doesn't miss a beat, does he?
Did I hear we can have female contestants in the Mr. North Andover this year?
I believe that is correct, but I'm not 100% positive.
I don't believe there are any female contestants this year.
But it was allowed this year.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
But-
okay. I heard that, I was just interested.
I know for the first time one of the hosts is, like, we have a female host, which is a first. Usually it's only a singular male host, but now there's both this
Thanks.
year.
And then
What's the date of that, I'm sorry?
March 13th, Friday.
15th, okay, good.
13. It's windy.
Hope so.
anyways, so sports. As the winter season's winding down, there's only a couple teams left. The boys hockey team is in the playoffs, and they'll be playing against Tewksbury in Chelmsford this Friday. If they win, they'll continue to advance through. I think if they win, they go on to the semifinals and then the finals. And then the track team will be sending some relay teams to the New England meet this Sunday, and 2 weeks from now, they'll be sending another few relay teams from the boys team and girls team to the New Balance Nationals meet in New York City. And lastly, our very own Mika Pelletier is running for the Student Council State Vice President position, which will be happening next, Wednesday through Friday at the Hyannis Conference. So hopefully she wins.
Go Mika.
And that's about all we have for you. It's a
You gonna handicap that field for us?
Don't think I can.
And you have, what, finals in like a week or two, or what is it?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Don't worry.
Don't wanna rush it, sorry.
Well, first of all, congratulations for stepping up and putting your name on a ballot. That's,
Yeah.
you know, we're in the middle of our election season right now, and it just takes a lot of guts to put your name out there for the public to take their swings at. But congratulations, no matter what
Thank you.
happens.
Well done.
Any other questions, comments?
Did you have a nice break?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Good luck to the incumbents.
Oh, thank you.
Always. All right, Dr. Gilligan, superintendent's report.
3 quick updates. The first one's gonna be from Miss Marks on the Atkinson principal search update. The second one's gonna be from Miss Bacuzzi on the North Andover Public Schools Youth Center partnership. And then I wanna talk a little bit about the coronavirus.
Okay, so the Atkinson principal search is in full motion now. The committee members have been chosen, and we met yesterday. They received a packet of applicants that were appropriately certified or had that certification pending. We will meet next week to choose those that we interview, and following week set up interviews, and we're hoping to have a decision by the latter part of March made, so.
Are there a lot of applicants?
You have applicants, so when you say a lot, yeah, there's a fair number of people who actually apply, but not everybody is necessarily even a certified teacher who applies, so people go on and apply for jobs, but they're not always appropriately certified or appropriate applicants, I would say. So, but I think we have a pretty good pool of people, so, and I feel like we have a really well-balanced committee. We have 2 dads from the parents, as representing parents. We have Rob Johnson, who is the director of the community center at Woodridge, is our community member. We have Kristen Ando for the curriculum, the literacy piece. We have from the school Sue Bayless, who is the lead teacher. We have an upper elementary teacher, Nikki Amison. We have a primary teacher, Lindsay Connolly, and we have a teaching assistant, Denise Casaletto. So I think it's a really well-balanced team. And we have guidance counselor, Susie Connolly, she goes by now, got married. And then we have Karen, our principal, Karen Leahy from Sargent, to represent the principal on the committee. So I think it's a really well-balanced committee. So it was a nice group of people yesterday.
So do you expect to narrow that group down to a handful of finalists, and then do you submit those to the superintendent?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yep, so we're not certain how many people we'll interview yet. It will depend on the conversation next week and the process next week. From that, we will narrow down some finalists, and then they spend a good chunk of the day here with Dr. Gilligan and probably myself. And we do site visits, role plays, all kinds of things, so.
Is there any other, I'm sorry if I missed this, but any time when they'll be in front of the public?
Yes,
Yeah.
yep. They will be in front of, parents will have an opportunity to meet and offer feedback, as well as the full staff at Atkinson.
When's that gonna be, do you know that?
That would be once the finalists are chosen, we set up that whole process with them when they come in for their visits.
Okay,
Similar to what we did last year with
Yeah.
the ABECC principal.
okay.
I'm really impressed. Ms. Marks is doing a great job of getting this up and running, and we've got, it's typical about the amount of candidates we have that we've had in past searches. But once they submit to the finals, typically they interview between 6 and 8, and usually 3 or 4 emerge for the finals, and then they meet. It's a pretty grueling day, if you can recall. They meet with the leadership team, they provide feedback, they meet with the PTOs, they get to provide feedback, they meet with the staff. So it's quite a day, and then we have a performance task, and then we check their references, so. It's pretty intense, and it's quite a process. I'm just really proud of the parents that came out to meet with us, to tell us what qualities they were looking for in a principal, and I'm really excited about the diversity on the hiring team.
So as Greg mentioned, we met with parents over at Atkinson one morning, and then we met with staff over there one afternoon to get their feedback, and we shared that feedback with all of the people on the committee, both the parent feedback notes and the staff feedback notes.
So this is late breaking news. Rick Gorman and I just really met and finalized some pieces of summer school yesterday afternoon. So Rick and I probably touched base in August about his desire and my desire to expand upon some summer programming with the youth center. So we have really collaborated, and again, I can't say enough about his want to work on inclusion model like throughout the district. So we've really solidified our grades 1 through 6 programs in the district. So those are our RISE programs and multiple support programs, some of our social emotional programs that will all be integrated to some degree with the youth center program. So, I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity that really allows Rick to provide the structure of a wonderful opportunity for students, and we provide the support for our students. So it's been a great collaboration. As you know, parents will now be hearing about it, and we need to get out some written information. Like I said, right now we're pretty solid for grades 1 through 6. We're going to talk about kindergarten and middle school and how we do that as well. So between the youth center and I think is it Constance on the Commons or at the activities on the Commons that happen, it's a really great opportunity to have our students participate in some recreational and social and work on a lot of skills outside of the classroom. So we're really excited about it.
Is that open?
developing students as well.
Yep, yeah.
Is it
Yep.
open to anybody on extended year?
Programs. So any of the students that are in like multi-day programs. So
Right.
yeah, yep,
Okay.
all of them.
Excellent.
Rick's always been an outstanding partner. I mean, he's a tremendous asset to the community. But more importantly, he's really ramped it up in the last couple years in terms of our partnership and
And he's excited to do more. So again, I've said from, my start here, even 7 years ago when I first started here, between the Ricks, they provide it for us. It's a no-brainer to use it. We have wonderful people who are willing to support our students throughout the school day and after. So, it's nothing that we have to create. They've already created it for us. So it's just a great opportunity.
great. And just last but not least, tomorrow I'll be sending some information home about the coronavirus. I know, folks, it's been on the news quite a bit. And I was going to send something out last week, but Cheryl Barzak, who's just dynamite, wanted to have our townwide meeting tomorrow with public safety, the Mass Department of Public Health, the Board of Health, town manager from the school side, because we've been keeping an eye on this and monitoring it. Cheryl made some good points about our experiences years back with the H1N1, as well as the norovirus at the middle school a few years back. So we'll be sending out a joint letter, probably from the schools and the Board of Health. We'll have a lot of resources and information and, ways to stay healthy. And as we move forward, we'll keep an eye on it, and hopefully we'll be in good shape.
A question, Dr. Gilligan. So, through these discussions, is there any discussion about whether or not teachers or staff, or how people are talking to kids about this whole thing? I know my daughter came home a couple weeks ago, having heard from a friend there was this horrible, sickness, and she was very stressed about that.
Yeah, so.
And we told her it's totally fine, and then, of course, now it's getting bigger, so I just was curious if that's part of the discussions you're having.
Yeah, so it was a son who had the flu last week or a couple weeks ago. Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we're talking about, and we'll be really talking more with the principals about after tomorrow. I think it's something we've been monitoring, but it seems like I'm not sure who opened the floodgates for the talk on this on the news, but it just one day it hit. Maybe it was on NPR or a New York Times article. We'll have all that information, and we'll be talking to principals about it. And we have a lot of experience with the, if you remember the N1,
Yeah.
H1N1, yeah. So
Thanks.
we'll get that out tomorrow, and I know this week it's been a big issue, but I'll always take Cheryl's advice, the Board of Health's advice, and the Mass Department of Public Health, so.
Thank you.
So, do you know, I don't know if you know this, Dr. Gilligan, but is there any requirements or mandates from the state when it comes to this? I've been following it pretty closely, and, I know the CDC has said, schools need to have, preparation plans in place, but what kind of support, if maybe this is a question for Cheryl at a later meeting, but what kind of support are we getting from the state on this, or guidance?
So we're getting a lot of information from the CDC. We're getting a lot of information from the Mass Department of Public Health. Our Board of Health's been terrific. And today, I was flooded in my inbox with letters that superintendents were having each other vet that were going to go out tomorrow, based on, we just got some guidance today from DESE, and a lot of it right now is preventative, and it's something we'll keep an eye on, and I think that, you don't want to cause panic or alarm, but we'll keep an eye on those things. So we've been getting it from the state, we've been getting it from the Commissioner, Jeff Riley, we'll get it locally, and then we'll, send the information out, and then we'll monitor it daily as we move forward.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Gilligan.
Thank you.
I have nothing on the chair's report, so we'll go right to old business, which has to do with a trip, the second reading, approval, Model UN overnight trip to Boston. This is an oldie but a goodie. We talked about this last time at our meeting. Any updates on this one?
You just had a question about how the students, like the number of students that are going, how are they chosen?
Yeah.
And so I talked to Mr. Mayat, and he said anyone is welcome to join the club. And once you join the club, you're eligible to go on the trip. So, and he says the kids do a fabulous job. They arrange the agendas, they do all the prep work for the club. So it's open to anyone who's a participant in the club.
Thank you.
Any other questions regarding this? We ready to vote on it tonight?
Yes.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve the Model UN overnight trip to Boston for March 20th to March 22nd, 2020?
I'll move that the committee approve the trip as presented in the packet to Boston for the Model UN.
Second?
Motion made by Ms. Lynch, second by Ms. Mably. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Okay, that's a 4-0 vote as well. Thank you very much. I can't say Hawaii now. I can't say 5-0.
No, I've been waiting for you to notice that, yeah.
So disappointing, I'll tell you. Dr. Gilligan, Superintendent Mid-Cycle Goals Review.
So there's quite a bit of information in this packet, so I'm not going to go over all of it tonight. It's pretty dense, but I just wanted to highlight a couple areas. One of the goals that we talked about is a shared goal at the beginning of the year was the school committee and the superintendent around the contract negotiations. The teachers' unions up, the TAs, and we're right now working in interest-based bargaining. It's the third time we've done it. So, if we successfully do it, we'll have it 9 years under our belt, and there's not a lot of communities that do it. And I gotta tell you, it's really a tremendous process, collaborative, and it's usually what's in best interest for kids. So that's been pretty exciting. The second piece was decreasing class size, looking at elementary, middle school, meeting the needs of students, and I think that one of the exciting highlights this year is the 5-year staffing plan in the budget. I don't think we've ever had a 5-year staffing plan, and I think it was really important because we need to have our needs drive the spaces we create, what kind of spaces we create, so we can put the kids to do it. Because right now, we don't have the space in all of the levels to decrease class size. Middle school is the highest, and we are putting one teacher, one more in, and it's going to decrease the 6th grade team size by 1.5 students on each team, which is really a really good thing. But the
On each team or in
6th grade
each
only.
class?
Each class, excuse me, each class. Yeah, because there'll be an extra team.
Yeah.
So they have 3, and then they'll go to 4, and they've only, like some of the other grades have. So that was one of the highlights there. The next one was direction setting and strategic planning, and we're really excited to come back with our updated strategic plan. 2019 and beyond really sets the course for the next 3 years, and that's the equity for all, the targeted professional practice, and the consistent and rigorous curriculum. And as we continue to move on, the next one is around evaluation. And I got to tell you that the instructional rounds, it's something that started with a couple superintendents back. And it takes a lot of trust. It takes a lot of work. Now we have teachers participating. We have all sorts of folks participating. But it really went to a new level this year when the assistant superintendent, Lorene Marks, started to have us also have some of the folks in our group not just look as we look for engagement or some of the great work our teachers are doing or other opportunities, but through the lens of different types of learners, whether it's an EL learner, whether it's someone who, you know, has had different difficult circumstances or advanced childhood experiences, adverse childhood experiences. So it's really been terrific, and I'm really proud of that. As we go down, the mid-cycle update on the professional development, I got to tell you, one of the best things we've done this year is, I think, bring in Mirko Chardon in the opening day and talk about equity, bring in Dr. Kim Parker. You know, this starting to tackle class and race and the intersectionality of both and how it impacts communities is something that we will tackle. We have an equity squad, a bias class right now that's being run, and we've been doing quite a bit of work with that. So that's been really exciting. And then, last but not least, collaboratively building a strong leadership team. And I was thinking about it. So it's really, I think it's about 1.5 years. I'm not sure how many days of school are left this year, but if Eamon was here, I'm sure he could tell me. But it's been really exciting that I've had the opportunity to hire 3 principals already, with Dr. Tiffany Goddard, George Gonsalves at the middle school, and Erin O'Loughlin as the interim at Atkinson. And then we did a reorg where Miss Mary Lou Connors became the director of child development at the Brad Street. And then we had a reorganization in central office where Greg Landry took over human resources. We eliminated the position of assistant superintendent for student services and hired Marcy to be the executive director of special education. And we had a chance to bring Ellen Peters along from the teaching ranks as an assistant principal, filling in. There's a little bit of a trickle down with Erin leaving. But I'd expect for us to continue to look creatively to put the best people we have in the right seats on the bus. And I'm excited about us continuing to grow and build our team. So.
I was thinking about the other day, it seems like, I think all our leadership team principals have been here less than 5 years, except for one, I think. Mr. Cushing's been here for a little longer than 5 years.
Yeah, and believe it or not, Joe
Well,
Clark
Clark
is
is-
finishing up 6 years this year as
This is-
principal.
Yeah, so it's still, it's a very, still fresh, dynamic crew that you have.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's been a nice mix. I mean, it's been a nice mix of, I've had the opportunity, the 2 principals I've hired to come from outside, from Lawrence and Winchester. And it's been a nice mix with some of the other folks that have come in. And I almost forgot, we had the ability to hire Lorene and bring in Kristen Ando from Lawrence, who's also our humanities coordinator, and she's an EL expert as well, so.
Yes. Any questions from the committee on the mid-cycle update?
I appreciated this format very much. It was very easy
Very easy to
Yeah.
read.
to click through to all the support documents.
Yes,
Is that Cindy?
no, that's Bev.
Bev also?
And just one other thing,
Thank you, Bev.
in the class size, I just wanted, because this was going to go in my superintendent's update, but I figured I'd do it here, is that, oh no, we'll get to it after, the MSBA. It's on the list here.
I agree with Amy 100%. I mean, we have so much data to go through sometimes, and just having it in the right format is helpful. So this is a great way to look at it, so I appreciate it too, Bev. I know you're listening out there. Okay, nothing further on that?
No.
Okay. First reading of the 2020-2021 school calendar. That is in our packet right now. Who wants to go first on this one? Well, I guess I'll tee it up if people don't mind. This is something that is always causes some consternation among parents. I know myself. I think it's my 6th time I've been voting on a school calendar, and historically we've always gone back. At least the 6 years I've been here, going back after Labor Day. I think having a late Labor Day this year does give us some pause about going back. On September 8th. I know this is the first reading and it's still in a draft stage, but I think, we need to give it some close consideration. I think that plus the state not allowing the beyond the classroom / blizzard bags for next year. I think, this year was a mild winter, but we still had 3 snow days. Think about it. And, I don't want to, I don't know. We're not quite out of the woods yet. We've had.
It's awful windy out
I know it is. Well, I was thinking of this morning because there was a lot of rain. I mean, if it was like 5 or 6 degrees colder, we could have been really, We had a real treat today and tomorrow. But I think it's important we give it some thought. I know a lot of people have opinions about it. Personally, I received 2 emails, very thoughtful emails, I will say, from a couple parents, one on one side, one on the other side of it. You know, I haven't made up my mind definitively yet on how I feel about it, so I'm still taking information. But I think it's something we got to give strong consideration to. I've always been a person who likes to come back after Labor Day. I've always had that in my head as the end of summer. But if we don't do this, you know, there's a potential that we could be, you know, going to school that, you know, June 28th, 29th of next year. So that, I think, would, that's obviously a what if, but it's, you know, in this part of the country, it's more likely than not. So any other feedback on this calendar or anything else you want to say?
I've been making some like pro and con charts because I think I'm the same. I grew up in Massachusetts. I've gone to school after Labor Day my whole life. That's what everybody thinks is the end of summer. But, you know, putting my own personal preferences aside, thinking of what's best for the kids in education, going back to school a couple days before Labor Day versus spending the last 2 weeks of June, frankly, just sweltering in the buildings doesn't seem like a wise choice. But I also sympathize with the fact that we're kind of late with this. I feel like we probably needed to talk about this a little sooner because people have booked vacations, and a lot of times it's hard to get back. That's kind of on the con side. Another pro is all the kids who run summer fun, all the camps are gone back to college. So there's that 2-week period at the end of August where A, people can take vacation because their kids aren't working, but B, parents are scrambling to cover for their kids, you know, daycare or what have you. So there's just so much to consider. It's not just, gosh, we prefer it after Labor Day. So
for the millions of people at home who are watching this, what we're talking about is coming back on Wednesday, September 2nd, and Thursday, September 3rd. Then having that Friday, the 4th off, and then coming back on the 8th, which would be the first Monday, the second
Tuesday.
Monday. Tuesday in September. So that's really what the discussion, you know, boils down to, coming back those 2 days on that Wednesday, Thursday before Labor Day.
right.
Dr. Gilligan, is there a minimum number of students we need to have in school for those days to count?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I can check.
So if parents had vacations booked, and a lot of them weren't here,
Right.
that wouldn't be adverse to us.
I would just say in my experience over the years, I've seen it on both ends. I've seen it, you know, this is a particularly late day, but I also see people taking their kids out of school when we go really late.
Right.
You know, as a student once said to me, I'd like to start late and end early.
Well, that's honestly what everybody wants, to start after Labor Day and end by the 15th of June, and we
It's
can't
not
do that, so.
Well, we can go to school on Saturdays, I guess.
Right.
Well, and honestly.
Don't suggest it.
No, what I would suggest that if we were to decide to start after Labor Day, and we have 5 snow days, I would want us to plot in advance which Saturdays we would go, because people would want to know that, right? So.
But then you run into sports that occur on Saturdays.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, but if we hit 7 days, if we hit 7 days, then we'd be into July, I believe.
And you can't.
If we
Right.
started after.
Right.
So I think it was, last year was pretty good. I think we used maybe 4 or 5.
We used it was the 4, so because we didn't use any beyond the classroom days. We had 4 traditional snow days.
But the
which
year
brought
before
us to
that,
the
we used
Friday.
9.
Yes.
And there was
And
one.
last year wasn't even snow days, wasn't it? The gas crisis.
So
So
one was
the
gas.
Yeah.
That was only one day for the gas, but there was one year with Dr. Hutchinson that we had to go to school on Good Friday when we used to have religious holidays off. So,
So there's just a lot to think about, and I would appreciate, as you said, Mr. Trissy, I've had 2 emails also. You know, it'd be great if people shared their feelings with us. Not each other only, but to help us, to inform the decision. But, I mean, I'm trying to really, personally, I'm trying to think about it from really the perspective and the teachers. Tell me about this. So a lot of teachers live in North Andover also, but a lot of them live in other communities. When do most other communities go back?
Before Labor Day.
There's another consideration.
5 years ago, it was about 64% of the communities in the Commonwealth went back before Labor Day. I don't have the most recent data because the state doesn't have that information out.
Most of them around us go back before,
But,
Right.
with the exception of Andover and North Reading.
No,
Okay.
I think Andover's back before.
Or they're down
This
back
year?
before.
Yeah, they were
All
back
right.
for last year too.
So I would just chime in and say, going back before September 1st, I think is egregious, and I think that that would be really a hard sell. But going back on September 1st, we still, you know,
It's the second.
psychologically have, September 2nd, we still psychologically have the whole month of August off. And, you know, coming back in August, I think I would not be able to support, but I think I could support coming back in September on the 2nd, because I really heard loud and clear in our community before we started Beyond the Classroom, and we had students going to school until the 29th of June. It was really difficult. It was really hard for families, and the same arguments were made that they had booked their June vacations. You know, they booked their June vacations in January
Camp start.
before the snow days all hit in March sometimes. So there may be some folks that are impacted at the end of summer with their vacations. But I think there would be folks impacted in either direction who are making decisions that close to start and end times of the school year. And I know not everybody has the ability to be flexible with their time. I'm sensitive to that. But I think that it's really important that we give serious consideration to this, because it is not an August start date. And my own children would tell you that they would always rather start late and they would rather have snow days because nothing really happens in June. That is their own personal opinions. And they're like, you know, we should have snow dates because those are great fun. And June, well, that's fun too. It doesn't matter if we're in school in June because we're really not doing anything. So, you know, I would hope that we give very strong consideration to this and not just have knee-jerk reactions and emotional responses that after Labor Day is when we like it. Like you said, start late, end early. So I appreciate, you know, that we've come up with this as our working draft.
Did you folks come to talk about the school calendar and public comment? We usually do public comment then, because it's such a vast crowd. If you guys want to come up and talk, I'll take public comment. If people no objection to that, why don't you come give public comment now? Because that way you don't have to. Well, we have a lot left anyways. But okay.
When I was looking at all the comments everywhere in town.
Could you just
I'm
state?
only one of thousands.
Could you just state your name and your
Sure.
address for the record?
We appreciate.
Right. My name is Kathy Lee,
Yeah.
and I am in the unique position of being a teacher in town and a mom in town. So that's always a fun place to be. So I want to tell you, I found out about the calendar on a Facebook group, and I was like, oh, they're making a huge change to a lot of people's lives, and I'm finding about it on Facebook, honestly. So that surprised me. So I was like, let me just look at it. And one thing that you said, Amy, that struck me as I was listening was just the timing of it. I feel like you are behind in timing this for this year. And if it's the 6 months from now, right? I was doing I'm a math teacher. So I was like, I think that is the problem, that with people who are saying, oh, we're going on vacation. And as a teacher, I have obviously very mixed feelings, but I've been a teacher in town for over 30 years, and I can't remember ever going back before Labor Day. We might have in the middle there someplace, but I honestly don't remember it. So we didn't make plans to be back. We have other things going on, but that's not even important. In the business world, and some people here have jobs in the business world, they wouldn't spring that on you in 6 months. They would give you the courtesy of at least a year planning. That's a big, I know it sounds like, oh, it's just a day in June or a day in September, but it's a little bit different than that for a lot of families. And people have been talking to me too about it. But I do think, I felt, I have to be honest, I felt a little disrespected that it was like, oh, we're gonna do this in 6 months, and we know it doesn't, you're gonna be there because you're a teacher. And I was like, yeah, I would like the courtesy of being like told ahead of time, because I think that's how I felt when I first saw it. But as a teacher, Holly, I haven't met you before, but when you asked the question about do we have to have a certain number of kids there on the first day of school, we want everyone there on the first day of school. Like, that's a key, those 2 days. And I'm sitting here going, we're going to have so many kids out those first 2 days of school because of plans and vacations. And it's such a letdown when they're not there. When you, even if you have like 3 kids out, and they don't know the routines. Like that, as a teacher, those are my 2 days to get in, like, this is where we put this, and these are our routines. And so I just feel like a lot of the kids are kind of behind the 8 ball when that happens. And it's interesting what an effect that has on the kids. I mean, we're all going to be there. Whatever you guys agree as a school committee as the best starting date for educational purposes, of course, we're all going to do. But I say, why don't you do this in the year 2021 and just have a set thing? Not have it dependent on, well, in the years where Labor Day is going to be late, we're going to do this. But in the years where it's going to be early, we're going to do this. I think if you're going to make this very big change in a lot of people's lives, I think you should give it more time for people, honestly. As a mom who has vacations planned right until that last day, and as a teacher, I speak on both sides of that. But I just think a lot of families, that's the problem. It's just the timing of it. And if you want to say in 2021, we're all going to go back before Labor Day, kids will be there for 2 days, I think everybody would appreciate that kind of heads up.
I think it's a very fair point.
Yeah. Ooh, that's so freaky.
There's no,
Did I miss anything? Oh, he's
no,
my support system.
Well said.
Okay,
And
okay.
I've heard a very similar argument before, so I appreciate that. And like I said in my earlier comments, I don't know how I want this to go right now. So
Right.
I can see both sides of it, and I think the not having the beyond the classroom in our back pocket is
Yeah.
a big issue. And is that absolutely set in stone, Dr. Gillian? Absolutely. So that's something that is part of the calculus this year. Because I've always, my memory is always going back after Labor Day.
Yeah.
As someone who was in the school system a long time ago, I had Tom Litchfield as a teacher.
That was part of what
I know.
made this a non-issue.
Right. Is there the set number of PD days, is that set? Do you have to provide so many of those?
There's a work year, yeah, so,
There is, okay.
yeah.
Because
You
a
know,
lot of people are asking about the Friday before MLK Day, like why can't we make that up?
Yeah,
It's like, that's a
if you,
day.
if you wanted, in practice, if you had 3 PD days before, it would be like having kids, it could be like having kids for 2. But either way, it's,
It's a trade-off. It's like just the shell
it-
game, you mean? Yeah, yeah.
either way, you have to do, the 180 days with students and, staff work, 184, I believe. So, they're in
Gotcha,
there,
yeah.
and it still extends it out.
Right.
Yeah, just I know you know this, but the public, the teachers always come back before Labor Day.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Right.
Well,
Right.
thank you very much.
Thank
We'll
you for
take that
letting
in
us see.
consideration. Really
Yep.
appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
To her point, is there a reason why we look at this calendar only 6 months in advance? Could we look at 2021 at this time of year and always be a year and a half ahead?
Well, I think we have to look at the next 3 years, because the next 3 years are these late Labor Days, and then it goes back to crazy early.
So is there a reason, do we have to, we always do it this time of year.
Yeah, we do.
Is there a reason for that?
We're late, but I think we're only late by one meeting, and I think maybe because of the vacation. So we haven't met since February 6th. That's probably, because I think we've always done it after the budget.
Well, the one that's published for this year was approved by us, it says, on like the 27th of February last year, so.
The first, yeah, but we probably.
But that, so that would
No,
have
that
been
was approved, so that was the
Yeah,
second meeting.
right.
the
That's what I
second
mean.
meeting,
That's what I
so
mean.
we're behind by one.
So
Yeah.
we're behind by one meeting.
But still, something as big as this, it would have been great if we talked about it in September, October, once we realized this was an issue.
Typically, once it's set for typically 3
Right.
years.
But we never approve 3 years at a time. We only approve 1
1
year at a time.
Right,
Yeah,
but I
different
think
factors
this,
go into it.
we need to
There's a couple of factors.
look
that,
at a
you know.
more long-range strategy of this is what we tend to do. We will come back if it's late these days. I mean, if that's the way we go. If we don't go
Yeah.
that way, we don't, but
Okay.
that's.
Any other comments? Okay. Thank you. Nice discussion. Appreciate it. Okay. first reading, resubmission of MSBA Statement of Interest for NAM's renovation. We've seen this rodeo before.
Yeah, so this would be my second submission as superintendent of schools. And there are specific dates that we have to have certain approvals by. I will say the exciting thing is I'm working really closely with the town manager, Melissa Murphy Rodriguez, on our application. You know, we have an outstanding application. We've met with the folks from MSBA. They've obviously come out and done a site visit, and that is what the big first hurdle. And once they do that, they don't keep coming out each year necessarily. That said, I'm excited to connect with her and look if we have any other ideas or angles with our application. And you know, we're looking at having maybe someone from the outside even take a peek at it, so that we can put our best foot forward with this application again. As I've mentioned before, it can often take 6-7 times in the queue. And I also think that the other exciting part is that at the same time while we're doing this, we're also looking at Facilities Master Plan 2, which has 4 schools in it: Atkinson, Franklin, Kittredge, and the middle school was added by the town manager recently. The one thing that I did want to add in during that mid-cycle review was that, you know, when Andrew left, those, you know, the former town manager, the Facilities Master Plan.
Not McDevitt.
No, not
Yeah,
McDevitt.
I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that. Mr. McDevitt, I apologize, it couldn't make it tonight. We knew he was gonna be here. There was a chance he could get here in time, that's why his nameplate is there, so. We're not talking about that Andrew, because Andrew's still with us.
Yes.
Okay.
Andrew Mailer. You know, he had left, and there was some time of transition, and the new town manager, Melissa Murphy Rodriguez, came on in September. So we had to go out to bid again for Facilities Master Plan 2. But I got to tell you, it's moving pretty quickly. We have folks that were in our buildings doing space studies, and they're looking at the different spaces now. And the town manager and I think that we may even have a report from them by May 15th or so, in middle of May. So we're pretty excited. So we have the Facilities Master Plan 2 as one piece. We'll submit this again in April, and we'll see what happens. But it's
And who's representing the schools in the Facilities Master Plan 2 process?
so Jim Mealy's been pretty involved in the part of bidding. I think at this time they will still be putting together the Facilities Master Plan 2 folks.
Okay,
I can't say that that's finalized,
okay.
but there'll be school representation.
So this resubmission, I mean, I'm not discouraged. This is our 4th crack at it, and I mean, most cities and towns do it at least 5 or 6, 7 times before they get funding. So it's not like we're being singled out or, you know, not getting our due here. I am frustrated that we need to do something with the middle school, and it gives me a little bit of hope that the town manager has agreed to, you know, put this into Facility Master Plan 2, and you know, we got to do something. We just can't sit on our hands, and we'll keep on applying for the MSBA money, but we've got to move forward.
Well, especially if, you know, should we get the money, it'd be great if we already had a plan of how to spend it, rather than, oh, now let's start a plan. Right?
Well, that's why the staffing plan, to drive the needs, the needs drive the spaces. But more importantly, I think in the Commonwealth last year, there were only 11 projects.
Because they were massive.
Yeah,
They're
and
a massive project, but they did put a little more in this year with the Chapter 70 change. They put more money into MSBA.
they did. And my hope is that, you know, there are some massive projects going on, and then whatever they've budgeted for, there's a little bit left over for expansion and addition, because that's often how these other projects get in.
I agree with David. I think we have to adopt the approach that we're not going to get it
Yeah.
and start plans now.
Well, that's well on its way with
Yep.
the Facilities Master Plan.
Yep.
That's exciting.
It
So,
is.
Dr. Gilligan, you said that you've looked at what we've submitted in the past and gotten more feedback if we need to tweak anything or what have you.
It's a really good application, what we have. I mean, you know, you have a couple conditions. Ours is the overcrowding issue, which is, you know, you've seen the numbers. I mean, we're one of the biggest middle schools for class size. Out of any of our comparables, we're way up there. And the other piece is you have to also realize there are schools in cities and towns that might be 100 years old that are applying because the schools are literally
Crumbling.
crumbling. So MSBA has to weigh all of that. like I said, we've met with them, we've had outstanding feedback. I think it's a really good application, but I always think you can look to do better. So I'm excited to kind of work with the town manager and take an additional look at it, and we'll go from there.
And does it get posted anywhere, the application, so people can see it, or?
Yeah, oh yeah, yep. We will, it will come through here.
That's what I thought, okay,
I
thank
think
you.
someone has to read it, the whole.
Yeah, so
Oh.
the next step will be to take this up at our next meeting, and then
Thank
the Board
you.
of Selectmen will do the exact same thing, because we both have
That's
to
right.
apply jointly
Okay.
to the MSBA. So we'll at our next meeting in 2 weeks, we'll have, since he's not here, we'll have Andrew do it. Any other questions for this? We've done this before. Okay. Okay, first reading, excuse me, robotics overnight trip. Doreen? Sure.
So
Only if
this-
you want to.
This is almost precaution, because we're trying not to get stuck in some of the situations we've been stuck in. So we're not certain that this will happen. It depends on the outcome of the competitions in March with the robotics team. But they're hoping this will be the 6th consecutive year that they make it to this competition, which will be in Louisville, Kentucky. So we wanted to get it on the books and okayed so that if they go in April, we're not scrambling at the last minute.
And that is the one exception, though, typically, if someone like a team if someone qualified for something, if music won an award one weekend and they were going somewhere a month later.
Is Louisville the same location? They've done this the last couple of years. I feel like
Yeah.
that's always been where we go,
So
right?
it's
Yeah,
Louisville.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's a known entity in a lot of ways
Robotics
as well.
capital of the world, you know that?
The what?
Robotics capital of the world, Louisville.
I did
Little-
not, but
little
I'm
known
happy
fact.
to know that.
And I know they fund this trip through fundraising. Have they already done the fundraising, even though they haven't qualified yet? Or are they gonna have to crash?
Yeah,
So
I don't
some
know
of their
that.
fundraising
Don't
is
know.
the snacks and stuff that they sell at the robotics tournaments that we host, and the registration fees that they use for, that they get from hosting them. So they have already been collecting and doing fundraising, and they use it for whatever they need to use it, and it diminishes the cost however much it does.
I mean, those,
That's my understanding and my belief. I haven't been involved in it.
I haven't seen the snack bar there, and that's surprising,
good,
but
it's
I
good.
haven't
I've
seen
run
the
the
snack
snack
bar.
bar.
But if you've been to robotics, it's, I mean, it is,
it's pretty cool,
it's
yeah.
the most folks that you'll ever see, kids you'll see in a gymnasium.
My kid's engrossed by it. Will they know by March 12th? Do you know? When do they find out if they're gonna qualify, do you know?
He doesn't have a date here in March.
Okay.
I can double check though.
Just curious.
I can let you know.
I
next
think we mean
time.
the 12th and the 19th next month, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
So we'll bang that out either way. Okay, thank you for the update on that. Okay, public comment again? No? Sure. Anything from the committee? No. Ms. Mabley?
What was I gonna, I wanted to mention that I thought the, family night at the middle school was great when it just took place, I think, right after we had our last meeting. And also, I do appreciate that, Mr. Gonsalves held a morning and an evening meeting for, sharing his entry plan that he, had. And I went to one in the morning, and I know you two went to one in the evening, and it seemed like they were pretty well attended, and I think that's a valuable process, so I appreciate that.
How many people went to the morning one?
9, 8?
Oh, we had about 13 or so at the evening one.
It was well attended. Good questions, lots of engagement. Last time we were together, the Crest Collaborative was getting ready to vote on whether or not to pursue the purchase of the 20 Shattuck Road in Andover, and they did vote to go forward with that. So we're anticipating that Crest will combine both its current properties into the one property in Andover by September. So there's a lot of things that are lined up in the sale of the Broadway property and the moving of the lease from the Branch Street property. So that is moving forward, and I had a chance to walk around the facility, have a tour, find out, different things that are going on. I think it's going to be a really great place. I think it's going to be a good fit for what our needs are at Crest.
Awesome, thank you for the update, Helen. I have nothing myself, so I would accept a motion to adjourn at this point.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
guess Ms. Mayley wants to stay.
I'm paying attention, I'm taking a note here.
Motion by Ms. Lynch, second by Ms. Picard. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.